All right. I'll go ahead and preface this. I'm no pro or expert at exhaust installation. I've done plenty of motorcycles, Harley exhaust, dirt bike exhaust, whatever. I did my Jeep exhaust, which was only axle back, a few years ago. But as far as something this involved, excuse my movement here. As far as something this involved, this is a first for me. This is a 2.5 inch tubing. Let me get some light here. With a 3-inch tip on the end. This actually came from a company in, I want to say Idaho. It is called Truck Exhaust Kits. They're on eBay. They're an eBay store. Truck exhaust kits, and they have their own exhaust made. It's it's made in America. This is a stainless steel. Comes with all the clamps and hangers and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm not a welder, and I might later on take this to a welder and have him tack up all of the joints and whatnot. But for now, I'm just having to use saddle clamps. That's what these are called, in case you're unaware. That's called a saddle clamp. But it came with everything. I had to add a few extra clamps, for support and whatnot. And it's it's a little tricky because you got to get it to contour just right over the axle and over the rear diff, and not hit anything. Also, once it's all secure. So it's that part is a little tricky. Let me get this light closer in here. That's the tricky part, and I found if you use the heavy-duty saddle clamps, they hold up a lot better for, especially for extreme tightening. If you use those little crappy Mickey Mouse ones, you'll sure as a world strip out the threads on that thing. So the heavy-duty ones you can get at Napa Auto Parts. Very durable, robust, very strong. But let's follow this thing along here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way the clamps look either, but for now I'm gonna have to go with it. I mean, it's under the vehicle anyway. It's not like anyone's gonna see it. And this muffler I got on eBay as well. This came from Barrett Performance in Decatur, Georgia. It's just a generic 2-in, 2-out muffler. It's no big deal, nothing flashy or anything. But it was very inexpensive. Brand new and inexpensive, so I was very happy with that. See how it goes up over the drive shaft and all here. And then it moves along up to the front where my OEM exhaust is, which is only a 2-inch outer diameter from my my original pipe. So yeah, I went up a little bit. I think I did have a 2.5 inch already, actually, but it had catalytic converters that were ancient and definitely clogged because there just wasn't a lot of exhaust flow coming out of the tips back here. It just was not very forceful at all. And this one now, when I crank it up, you can definitely feel a lot more airflow coming out of it. The sound, I like the sound. It sounds fine. I mean, it's a V8, whatever. It's a 350, so it's going to have a decent sound. But it's not obnoxious. It looks good. I like the way that the tips look. you know, it took me a good half a day to 3/4 of a day to take my time installing it, because I had never done it before. So, you know, I understood what needed to be done, but to do it properly and not have a hot mess of stuff all over the place, that's the tricky part. So, any tips I can give you? Some of these pipes will have like decals on them with, you know, the instructions on telling you where it goes or which part of the vehicle it goes. Those decals will almost never come off, so I had to use my bench grinder and just grind the things off. They came right off. It's a little messy doing it that way, but they wouldn't peel off, and you know, I couldn't heat it up with a heat gun, and it just didn't work. So those little decals, you know, use your, you know, your bench grinder, which is up there, while they're off the truck, of course. You can get all that stuff off of there, but the important thing is to mock everything up first. You know, before you start cranking everything down, just go ahead and get everything set in place. And what I did was I would tighten the clamp and then partially loosen it. So then it could sort of hold itself still, but I could still rotate everything if I needed to. That's the key to this stuff. Hold on. Because some of these things, the pipe needs to rotate this way or this way to get it to line up right everywhere else. Or if you're trying to get the tip, you know, lined up right, sometimes everything has to pivot in each joint here. So that's why you don't crank everything down until you have test fitted everything. And that's the slow part, because you don't want it to hit anything, you don't want it to get in the way of anything. So it takes time. It takes time to adjust everything and then tighten and loosen, tighten and loosen. Highly recommend you use an impact driver of some sort, because there's going to be a lot of tightening and loosening. And, you know, a regular ratchet would take you forever. I mean forever, because I tightened and loosened this stuff numerous times, you know, before I got it lined up the way I wanted it to be, and so that it's, you know, not blocking anything or hitting anything, that sort of thing. So definitely use an impact driver. It'll make your life a lot easier. Make sure you use eye protection, some safety glasses, because there's always some kind of debris coming off of this stuff, and if you're using a hacksaw or a cut saw, you know, to adjust everything, or because the tips or the ends of the pipes back here were very long on purpose, because this could be used for a long bed or a short bed truck. So they give you plenty of extension back here that you, of course, need to chop off once it's time to put the tip on. So, you know, there's going to be just a little bit of a use of a Sawzall, like this one I just got recently. So make sure you're using eye protection. Make sure you wear gloves as well. Some kind of, you know, leather gloves or work gloves, because some of these edges will be sharp. Even some of the edges of the joints and whatnot, they can be sharp edged and cut you. They almost got me once, even though I had gloves on. So make sure you wear gloves and eye protection, and take your time. You know, just take your time, and of course follow whatever instructions came with it. But, you know, make sure you put everything together on a mock-up basis first, and don't tighten anything down till final until it is good and fitted, and then you, like on motorcycles, we will start tightening from the rear of the vehicle and slowly work our way forward. Because if you try to do it the opposite way and tighten from the front towards the back, some of this stuff may not be lining up the way you want it to, and, you know, then you'll have to go loosen stuff again. So keep everything just sort of tight so that you can still get some pivoting action in the joints, but start your tightening from the rear. And, you know, and then you work your way all the way up to the muffler. Anyway, the next video I'll show how it sounds, you know, after I get it off of the lift and get it out of here. Well, off these ramps. Oh, these ramps are very handy also. You know, these are those Rhino ramps. I should have put the front of the truck up on them as well, but I wasn't really thinking of how far the exhaust is going to go, and it goes you know, almost to the forward third of the vehicle. Anyway, so I should have put ramps front and rear, but I put ramps on the rear, and it just makes it easier to roll around underneath here, unless your truck is already lifted and whatnot, and you got plenty of space. So, anywho, I'll put some links to what this, you know, where I got this stuff, and this is a 1990 Chevrolet K1500 Silverado, which means it's a four-wheel drive. 150,000 miles, believe it or not. I traded my Jeep Wrangler for it, you know, an 03 Jeep Wrangler that had well over 200,000 miles. Traded it straight up for this guy because I was just over the Jeep. That was a four-cylinder, little puny thing, and just not enough power, and I was just ready to move on, so traded for this sturdy old truck here, and it runs really well, and I'm thoroughly pleased with it. So look out for the next video where I show how she runs now. So subscribe, like, follow, blah blah blah, and check out our videos. We're always posting stuff, either working on this truck or working on our, I got a 07 Mustang, I got Harley Davidsons, I got Yamaha dirt bikes. You know, all kinds of videos, you know, that can show you maybe how to fix things, or troubleshooting, or problems that you may have run across and you didn't know how to fix that maybe we have already solved. That's the beauty of YouTube, you know. Anyway, y'all have a good evening. We'll talk to y'all later.